My name is Jason Wells. I'm 29, work in digital marketing, and I thought I was building a future with the love of my life, Alyssa Jordan. We were together for nearly 5 years. She was my first real relationship, my best friend, the one person I thought I could trust with everything. Turns out she was the one person I should have been watching the closest. It wasn't just that she cheated, it was who she cheated with. Evan Hughes, my best friend since middle school. The guy who stood beside me through every breakup, job change, hospital scare. The one who gave a speech at my dad's funeral and stayed on the phone with me for hours when I was too numb to cry. He was the last person I ever thought would betray me. And yet, there they were. Together. Naked. In the apartment I paid for. I wasn't supposed to be home early that Friday. A client meeting got canceled, so I grabbed pizza and beer to surprise her. I still remember the way the keys felt in my hand, warm from my pocket, right before I opened the door and saw 2 bodies scrambling for clothes. My brain couldn't even register it at first. I just stood there holding a stupid pizza box, watching everything collapse in real time. Evan stammered. Alyssa pulled the blanket tighter and whispered, "It's not what it looks like." It was exactly what it looked like. I didn't yell. I didn't punch him. I didn't cry. I just walked out. Because while they thought I was broken, what I really was focused. They thought they'd get away with a mistake, that I'd sulk, vanish, and maybe one day forgive them. But betrayal like that, it doesn't go unpunished. I didn't just want revenge. I wanted consequences. I wanted them to feel the humiliation, the collapse, the shame. And I wasn't going to deliver it in private. I was going to do it on a stage they couldn't escape from. She wanted attention. Now the whole world would be watching. Alyssa and I met at a music festival in Chicago. I was there with Evan and a few college friends. She was there with her sister. We bumped into each other waiting for overpriced tacos, and the conversation just clicked. She was witty, confident, and had this spark in her eyes that made you lean in without realizing it. I asked for her number, and the rest unraveled from there. We started texting the next day. Our first date was the following week. Within a month, she was basically living at my place. It moved fast, but it felt right. I wasn't some lovesick fool. I had dated before, and I thought I knew what red flags looked like. Alyssa didn't raise any at first. She was thoughtful. Brought coffee when I worked late. Got along with my mom. She even helped Evan through his breakup a year in. Told him he deserved better, that we were his people. We were a trio, tight, the kind you don't question. I proposed on our 4th anniversary. Nothing fancy. Just us on a hike in Colorado, sunset behind the mountains, her hands cold in mine. She said yes with tears in her eyes. We didn't announce it right away. I wanted it to feel personal before it got posted and picked apart. Then the cracks started. Subtle at first. She'd come home late more often. Said she was working longer hours at the gallery. Started locking her phone. Not that I was checking, but it felt weird. Evan started hanging around less. Said he was giving us space. I chalked it up to stress, wedding planning, life. There were moments, though, when something felt off. The way she'd laugh a little too hard at Evan's jokes. The way she flinched when I asked where she was coming from. But I never pushed. I didn't want to be that guy. The jealous, paranoid fiancé. One night, maybe 2 months before it all exploded, I remember lying awake next to her. Her breathing was steady, peaceful. But I had this weird chill. Like my body knew something my brain hadn't caught up to yet. I told myself I was imagining it. That we were fine. That love doesn't just disappear, but it didn't disappear. It was given away. And what broke me wasn't just the act. It was the planning, the timing, the ease with which they looked at me every day and pretended nothing was wrong. She knew how close Evan and I were. She knew what he meant to me. That wasn't just betrayal. That was precision. When I caught them in bed together, there was a weird calmness in the chaos, like the final puzzle piece had clicked into place. Everything that had been confusing suddenly made sense. Her distance, his silence, the static between us. I walked out with the pizza still in my hand, left it on the hood of my car. I didn't go home that night. I drove around the city until sunrise, then parked in a Walmart lot and sat in silence. It wasn't until 2 days later that Evan texted me. Just one message. "I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean for it to happen like this." No explanation, no remorse, no accountability. Alyssa never reached out, not even once. That was what made it so easy for me to make the next decision. I wasn't going to forgive them. I wasn't going to forget. I was going to remind them, publicly, what it feels like to lose something valuable in front of everyone who thought they were perfect. After 2 days of silence, I returned to our apartment. My apartment. Alyssa was gone. Half her clothes were missing, her keys on the counter, and not a single note. No, let me explain. No apology, just absence. I stared at the empty space where her coffee mug used to sit. The silence felt heavier than any screaming match could have. Evan, meanwhile, went radio silent. Mutual friends were confused. Some knew, some didn't. And the few who did acted like it was just another drama that would pass. "People make mistakes," one friend shrugged. "Maybe they really do love each other." That line hit me harder than the betrayal itself. I wasn't interested in forgiveness. I wasn't interested in closure. I wanted to make a statement. So I started planning. Not revenge in the violent, messy way you see in movies. No slashed tires or public confrontations. I wanted something clean, sharp, something that would echo. The first thing I did was dig through our shared photos, messages, emails, proof. I wasn't going to be called bitter or dramatic. I was going to be undeniable. Then I created a new Instagram account. The Cheaters series. It started anonymously. Aesthetically clean posts, black background, white text. No names at first, just quotes, screenshots. Location tags blurred, timestamps left in, a thread of betrayal built from actual conversations. He'll never find out. It's not love, it's just comfort. We can stop. After this weekend. The posts gained traction. Followers started growing. People shared it, trying to decode who it was about. Speculation spiraled. Every third comment was, "This has to be about someone famous," or "This is real, I can feel it." I knew I had a limited window before someone figured it out, so I timed the reveal. Alyssa was part of a local arts nonprofit. She had a solo show coming up, a launch event with press, donors, and influencers. The gallery promoted it heavily. Her face was on posters around the city, so I bought a domain, alyssaandevan.com, and I filled it with the full story. Side-by-side screenshots, their text threads, photos, videos, a timeline of the betrayal, nothing doctored, just the truth. And the morning of her gallery event, I launched the site, and then I posted the link on at the Cheaters series with one caption. "Art is about honesty, right?" It exploded. Within hours, her name was trending locally. People at the gallery pulled their sponsorship. The nonprofit removed her from their website. Her show? Canceled before the doors even opened. Evan's company put him on indefinite leave after clients started asking questions. Apparently, reputation matters when your job is relationship manager. But that wasn't the end. Because I didn't just want to ruin an event. I wanted to ruin the narrative. I wanted everyone to stop looking at Alyssa and Evan as misunderstood, passionate souls who fell into love. They were liars, cowards, and I had receipts. I didn't speak a word publicly. I just let their words hang them. By the time the website and Instagram account hit full steam, I had their attention, and everyone else's. The morning of the gallery event, Alyssa tried to control the damage. She posted a vague story on her main account. People believe what they want. I'm focusing on my art, not on drama. But hours later, she deleted it. Because people weren't just believing what they wanted, they were seeing her actual text messages, hearing her voice in voice notes, reading a calendar breakdown of exactly when she and Evan betrayed me, side by side with photos of me kissing her, celebrating her birthday, trusting her. I didn't even have to say a word. Her silence became a confession. Still, I wasn't done. There was one final piece to the plan, the public reveal. I bought ad space in the digital issue of the city's alternative weekly magazine, the kind that covers local art, music, and food, exactly the kind of space Alyssa's name used to appear in for her shows. The ad was simple, a black square, white text, and a link. Ever wonder how loyalty dies? AlyssaandEvan.com. The editor reached out afterward, said it was bold. I told him it was factual. He didn't argue. The domain had now racked up over 100,000 visits in 2 days. Reddit threads broke it down. TikToks popped up with dramatic readings of the messages. Twitter dragged them both into the dirt. Alyssa locked all her accounts. Evan deleted his entirely. And still, I wasn't loud. I never put my name on it. But it didn't matter. Everyone close to us knew. People started DMing me privately. Ex-friends, classmates, even co-workers, saying they'd always gotten a weird vibe from them. That I didn't deserve what happened. That I'd won. But that wasn't what this was about. It wasn't about winning. It was about rewriting the story. Because for months they had painted me as the guy who was too safe, too routine, boring, emotionally boring. That's what Alyssa had told one of her friends in a message I found. Jason's steady, but Evan makes me feel electric. I wanted her to feel something all right. And Evan? He reached out. A weak, 2-line message. You've made your point. Can we talk? No, Evan, we can't. Because you and Alyssa made your choices in secret. I made mine in public. And the thing about public betrayal is, it deserves a public reckoning. The fallout came fast and hard. By the end of the week, the gallery issued a public statement, disassociating from projects involving Ms. Alyssa Jordan until further notice. The sponsors who had backed her exhibition quietly withdrew their funding. She was supposed to be the face of a Women in Contemporary Art panel later that month. They replaced her with a rising sculptor and scrubbed her name from the flyers like she'd never been part of it at all. Her reputation, once curated like a perfect Instagram grid, was now shredded in every group chat, Discord server, and comment section in the city's art community. Evan's crash was just as brutal. His employer issued an internal investigation after client complaints started rolling in. Apparently, he had used a corporate trip to meet Alyssa behind my back, mixing business and betrayal. That was enough for HR to step in. I don't know if he was fired or pushed, but his LinkedIn went from senior brand manager to seeking new opportunities overnight. But the real moment, the one I planned for, came during a live podcast. A mutual friend of ours, Mia, ran a local podcast on relationships and creativity. Alyssa had been scheduled as a guest months before the breakup, And somehow, the episode still aired, recorded long before everything came out. It was brutal. Alyssa sat there, calm and composed, talking about trust, vulnerability, and how honesty is non-negotiable in a relationship. The audience was already aware of the cheating scandal. They were watching it through a completely different lens. The comments section exploded. Clips went viral. Her voice, her face, her words, all of it now reeked of hypocrisy. You couldn't write a better script for self-destruction. And then she finally cracked. She posted a statement on her now private Instagram. "To everyone I hurt, I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake and I'm living with the consequences. Please don't attack others on my behalf. I need time to heal and reflect." There it was. An admission. Bare, late, and hollow. She didn't name me. Of course she didn't, but she didn't need to. Everyone already knew. I watched her post go live. Then I closed the app. There were no fireworks, no standing ovation, no cinematic moment where she called sobbing, begging for forgiveness. That's not how this works. This was never about making her suffer endlessly. This was about pulling back the curtain and letting the world see exactly who she was when she thought no one would ever find out. After the dust settled, the silence felt unfamiliar. No notifications, no more friends calling to ask, "Is it true?" No viral reposts, no anonymous messages, just quiet. And in that quiet, I finally had space to look at the wreckage, not of them, but of me. Because while Alyssa and Evan were busy watching their reputations crumble, I was still carrying the weight of what they did. I hadn't slept well in weeks. My appetite came and went. I kept replaying moments from the past, laughing at dinners, inside jokes, lazy Sundays on the couch, now all stained by a lie I hadn't seen coming. But I didn't regret what I'd done. I didn't regret telling the truth, or making it public, or refusing to go quietly like they expected. What I did regret was how long I'd held on to something that had been dead long before I saw them in bed. They didn't kill the relationship. They just buried what had already rotted. In the weeks that followed, I took steps to reclaim my space. I took down the framed photos, boxed up the leftover art supplies Alyssa used to scatter across the kitchen. I donated the clothes Evan left behind during game nights. Even small things, like switching the soap brand Alyssa always bought, felt like lifting bricks off my chest. I went back to therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand how I missed the signs. How I let people get so close to my core without any kind of emotional firewall. I wasn't looking to become paranoid, just smarter, more self-aware. I started working out again, not out of revenge, out of clarity, out of self-respect. And then I went quiet, intentionally. I shut down the Instagram account, took down the website. Not because they didn't deserve the exposure, but because I didn't want to be tethered to their names forever. Their shame wasn't my legacy. Their lies weren't my identity. The city found someone new to gossip about a week later. The internet moved on. And me? I didn't move on. I moved forward. There's a difference. People sometimes ask me if I'd do it all over again. The public reveal, the expose, the digital takedown. And my answer is always the same. Yes, but not for revenge. For the message. Because there's something powerful about shining a light on people who thrive in darkness. Something healing about letting the truth speak louder than the lies ever did. I don't hate Alyssa anymore. I don't hate Evan either. They taught me something I couldn't have learned any other way. That love without respect is just manipulation in a prettier dress. It's strange how healing doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with fanfare or a clear moment of "I'm okay now." It just shows up quietly one morning when you realize their names don't sting anymore. That happened a few months after everything. I was walking through a bookstore when I heard someone mention Alyssa's name across the aisle, casually, like a footnote in someone else's story. I braced for the flood of anger, for the nausea that used to come when she took up space in my thoughts. But it didn't come. I blinked, breathed, and moved on. That's when I knew the story was truly over, for me. Not because she had paid enough, not because Evan had disappeared off social media, but because I had let go. I don't think you ever fully recover from betrayal by two people you loved most. You just grow around it, like scar tissue, tougher, smarter, wiser. It taught me to ask better questions, to trust my gut, to pay attention when someone avoids accountability but excels at performance. It also taught me something unexpected. You can expose someone without becoming them. Revenge didn't turn me cruel. It turned me honest. And honestly, I'm proud of how I handled it. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I told the truth, and I let that truth echo louder than any apology ever could. Sometimes people ask me if I've forgiven them. I don't answer yes or no. Forgiveness, I've learned, isn't for them. It's a process I give to myself, when I'm ready, on my terms. And slowly, that's happening. Not for who they were, but for who I became after they broke me. Stronger, sharper, softer in the right places. One day, I'll love again, not with desperation, but with discernment. I won't hand my loyalty over like a blank check, but I won't close the door either, because despite it all, I still believe in connection. I still believe in truth. I still believe that some people are worth the risk, just not them. They taught me how dangerous it is to trust the wrong people. But they also reminded me what it looks like to trust myself. And that's the kind of lesson you carry for life.